Imagine a structure so large that it stretches across a region of the universe bigger than entire clusters of galaxies, yet so perfectly shaped that it behaves as if it was constructed with intention. That's what scientists were confronted with when James Webb's instruments captured a strange distortion deep inside the cosmic web, a place where galaxies connect through vast filaments of dark matter. At first, Webb's readings looked like a software glitch, repeating signals, synchronized energy pulses, and a corridor-like formation that extended far beyond what a normal cosmic void could produce. But after multiple cross-checks with independent instruments, the conclusion was the same. This wasn't noise. Webb had detected something real, structured, and immensely old. The cosmic web is already one of the largest scale structures in the universe, but this was different. It wasn't random and it wasn't chaotic. It was ordered, clean, geometrically precise. And as Webb increased the resolution of its infrared sensors, details began emerging that shocked even the most seasoned astrophysicists. There were layers inside the formation, curved sheets of ionized gas aligned with such regularity that no natural process should shape them this way. Some scientists proposed it might be a rare kind of baryonic filament interaction, but the symmetry was too perfect. Others speculated it could be a collapsed megavoid, but the internal structure contradicted every known model. Then came the temperature data. A smooth gradient flowing along the interior, decreasing at exact predictable intervals. Nature doesn't do exact, not on these scales, but something did. And when Webb traced the gradient deeper, a central spine appeared, a long, bright thread running through the entire structure. It pulsed, rhythmically, repeating every few seconds with mechanical-level consistency. This wasn't a dead structure, it was functioning. But functioning for what? And why now? As scientists raced to interpret the data, a second anomaly emerged, faint reflections coming from the opposite end of the structure, like echoes, light bouncing off something deep inside, something moving. Whatever the structure is, it isn't just sitting quietly in intergalactic space. It's active, reactive, and doing something that no known cosmic phenomenon should be able to do. Webb had just opened the door to one of the most intriguing cosmic mysteries of our time.
As researchers dug deeper into Webb's data, the interior of the massive structure revealed behavior that left them stunned. Inside the tunnel-like corridor, the flow of ionized particles wasn't random. It moved in synchronized waves, like currents guided by an invisible hand. The turbulence that normally fills intergalactic space, chaotic, violent, unpredictable, was almost entirely absent. Instead, the interior environment was stable, controlled, and astonishingly smooth. Even stranger were the reflections Webb detected. They weren't typical light scatterings or background radiation. These were structured echoes, bouncing along the walls in a way that suggested they came from a distant source and were traveling down the corridor like signals. The most unsettling part? The reflections formed decreasing intervals, as if whatever generated them had already happened centuries ago, and Webb was only now intercepting their weakened remnants. When scientists plotted the echo trajectories, they aligned perfectly, too perfectly, with the tunnel's central spine, as though the structure had been designed to carry or amplify them. Some theorized this might be a natural waveguide formed by overlapping gravitational fields, but no natural structure on this scale behaves with such precision. Then came the gravitational shear data. At the far end of the tunnel, space-time appeared slightly bent, not sharply like near a black hole, but smoothly and steadily, exactly the way mathematical models describe traversable wormhole throats. But wormholes, if they exist, should be unstable, fleeting, and violently turbulent. This, however, looked stable, old, maintained, and something inside it was moving closer. Webb began tracking a faint mass signature approaching from the interior. At first, it seemed like a density wave or an energy pocket, but its movement was guided, adjusting position as if navigating the tunnel. Even more bizarre were the negative energy readings, the kind associated only with theoretical exotic matter. No natural object in the universe is known to produce such configuration. As the mass approached, the rings within the tunnel started to illuminate sequentially, as if responding to its presence. The structure wasn't just channeling energy, it was preparing. Whether it was preparing the environment or preparing the object itself, nobody could answer. But one thing became clear. This wasn't a passive tunnel carved by chance. It was a functioning corridor, and something was traveling through it right now.
With every new Webb observation, the mystery surrounding the structure deepened. The mass moving inside the tunnel began interacting with its interior geometry in ways that defied natural explanation. As it advanced, the tunnel walls reconfigured. Ripple patterns became more pronounced, forming complex signals that moved alongside the object like escort waves. The temperature gradient shifted, aligning perfectly with the object's progression. Webb's spectrometers detected a bubble-like region around the object, a field containing both positive and negative energy densities. Theoretically, such a field could stabilize spacetime distortions. In simpler terms, the object appeared to be wrapped in something akin to a propulsion bubble, similar to concepts explored in theoretical warp models. But theory aside, the readings were real, and they were unlike anything observed before. Then, the structure reacted again. Rings ahead of the object brightened in sequence, behaving like massive scanning gates. Each time the object passed through a ring, the tunnel's central spine pulsed with higher intensity, sending powerful energy waves across the corridor's walls. Webb recorded the entire process in real time. The synchronization was too exact to be accidental. The deeper the analysis went, the clearer the implication became. The structure was not random, not chaotic, not natural in any way we have ever observed. It looked designed, not necessarily built by a civilization, but shaped by a process vastly more organized than anything cosmic evolution typically produces. Then came the most dramatic moment. As the object approached the structure's midpoint, the entire corridor lit up from end to end in one single, unified pulse, a burst so bright and so synchronized that scientists described it as the system checking itself. Moments later, Webb detected gravitational fluctuations consistent with something opening or expanding deeper within the tunnel. The object continued moving forward, but now the tunnel's geometry changed, tightening around it, forming a more defined pathway. Something was definitely waiting at the far end, or preparing to receive it. And the most disturbing part? The energy patterns inside the tunnel seemed to be accelerating, as if the system had shifted from dormant to active mode in response to Webb's observation. As the object neared the end of the corridor, the formation underwent its most dramatic transformation yet. The rings, once softly pulsing, now rotated in precise intervals, behaving like components of an enormous mechanism. Energy waves began traveling backward through the tunnel, from the far end toward the object, almost like instructions being sent to a moving component. Webb detected a sharp rise in exotic energy signatures. The negative density fields grew stronger, interacting with the ionized gas in ways that produced shimmering distortions across the corridor's interior. Whatever the object was, it was preparing for a final transition. Suddenly, the tunnel's far end brightened, slowly at first, then with overwhelming intensity. The glow expanded into a structured pattern, forming a swirling aperture that rotated like a colossal plasma vortex.
Webb's sensors strained to maintain stability as gravitational readings spiked. The object accelerated, drawn toward the radiant threshold. The entire corridor responded. Waves traveled across the walls, the central spine ignited with blinding pulses, and the rings locked into perfect alignment. Every part of the structure synchronized, as if performing a single unified action. Then, the object entered the aperture. For a moment, the entire tunnel flashed with a burst of coherent light, bright, organized, and impossibly uniform. Webb captured the silhouette of the object crossing the last illuminated ring, and then everything collapsed into silence. The rings dimmed first, then the spine faded, then the ripples on the walls fell still. Within minutes, the entire structure reverted to a calm, dormant state, as though nothing had ever passed through it. Scientists are still unsure what the structure is. A relic of the early universe, a natural phenomenon we've never encountered, or something engineered by processes far beyond human comprehension. But the implications are undeniable. Webb didn't just detect a massive structure hidden inside the cosmic web. It watched the structure activate. It watched an object travel through it. And it watched the corridor shut down again, as if waiting for the next cycle. Somewhere out there, between galaxies, a functioning system of unimaginable scale exists. Silent, ancient, and far more complex than anything humanity has ever discovered.